Welcome to Anime Out of Context, a comedy review show hosted by a basement dweller who grew up scrounging terrible fan subs on sketchy websites prior to the convenience of modern streaming, alongside a willfully ignorant soul whose only knowledge of anime comes from the shows forced upon him here. This show will contain spoilers, incorrect information, and copious amounts of adult language. Our hosts are not experts on any topic, and everything they say should be taken with a grain of salt. Thank you for listening, and enjoy.
Hello and welcome to Anime Out of Context, the show where I attempt to explain the sometimes weird, sometimes wonderful, but always hilarious world of anime.
And I roast some marshmallows over this all-encompassing dumpster fire.
I'm Sean Rollins.
I'm Remington Chase.
Alright, Remington, I didn't want to do this today.
What the fuck? That's how we're starting? That's the opening?
Well, Rem,
Excuse me?
I know we gotta keep things lighthearted and comedic around these parts.
Fuck.
And I'm trying to... Usually I try to have, like, a clever ploy.
No, Sean, I understand, and it makes sense.
Does it?
So what were you saying?
What I was gonna say, Rem, is that there's a lot of reasons for me not to want to do today's anime. And I do my best to think about the betterment of you. You know, I try to do something.
Do you?
Sometimes, yes. I mean, I feel like I've been doing pretty good past couple weeks. Like I showed you something you genuinely enjoyed and something that you had fun with.
And then what about like the month before that?
Look, Rem, some of the principles of life is about, like, in order to have a nice, full, healthy, sustained life, you just gotta live in the moment, you know?
All right. And is the moment I'm about to live through shit?
Well, it depends on your perspective, Rem. Like, there's a lot of variables at stake here.
All right, what is the terrible anime that we're doing this week, Sean?
Well, I will say this is probably one of the most requested films we've had for a while.
Oh, film.
Yes, we're doing a film today, because it's been a minute. Last film we did was Grand Blue Dreaming, and that was a bit of an experience for you.
Yep.
Or wait, was it the Pokemon film that we did last? I can't remember.
You know what? It was Pokemon.
It was
Who can tell the difference? They're basically the same movie.
Oh, God. Hey, kids, want to watch some Pokemon? Oh,
my favorite Pokemon movie is the one filled with psychosexual angst and confusion. So the one where Entei fucks his mom. Anyway.
No, Rem. And I'll be honest, the reason I have hesitated to cover this one is because if your opinion of this movie is a bad one, Rem.
That's statistically likely.
If statistics play out normally, we're gonna be in a lot of trouble.
Ah, hell yeah.
Like
Don't tempt me with a good time.
Like, specifically from a lot of anime fans who love cute boys or cute men. Because if we have bad opinions about this movie, they'll come for us. Like, pitchforks raised, torches ablaze, shovels ready to bury our defiled corpses. It is gonna be a certified bloodbath. So I've been hesitant to show it to you because if that happens, I can't guarantee your safety.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, so what the fuck is it, though?
Well, Remington, today we're going to be watching a movie from 2004, simply entitled Howl no Ugoku Shiro, Howl's Moving Castle.
Ah, going back to Gibbles. Big Jib.
It's been a while, Rem. It's been nearly a full year since we've done a Ghibli film. Back in May was our last one, if I recall correctly. So I figured it was about time to do another one, and lo and behold, the most requested one currently is this one. And, Rem, you know how I say everybody has a favorite Ghibli movie?
Yeah.
This is a lot of people's favorite Ghibli movie. Like, my God, a lot of people love this movie, and a lot of people we personally know love this movie. Like,
all right, well, I just want to set everyone's expectations properly, all right?
Rem, you can't go into that with that placating attitude. You gotta have at least some kind of hopeful optimism.
Look, I am a fan of, generally speaking, of good old Gibbles. In fact, I think my love for him he's finally evolved into Gabite. And I think that with that love, there's some caveats. And these caveats are, in every single Ghibli film we've ever done, it's beautiful and it's super humanistic and down to earth and delightfully vulnerable. But the worst thing in literally every single Ghibli film has been the plot. And I'm on record saying the good parts of these movies are the parts with the least amount of plot, right? With that being said, quick question, Sean.
Yeah?
How much plot in comparison to Gibble's others would you say that Howl's Moving Castle has?
Well, it's based on a novel.
Oh, I will say that sounds reminiscent to, I don't know, would that be the worst big jib we've done? The fairy one.
The fairy one?
The brownie one.
Oh, Secret World of Arietti.
Yeah.
Yeah, The Borrowers.
Because, once again, that had good elements, but it did try to have more of a plot than others.
Right. I mean...
All right, so I'm worried that it's based on a book.
It's based off of a fairly popular young adult fantasy novel from 1986.
Okay, all right. A nice ancient tome.
Okay, I don't think it's super appropriate to call a book from 1986 an ancient tome. That's
borderline medieval.
No, Rem. I'm pretty sure that's still in the millennial generation, like at the very beginning of it. But I'm pretty sure that's still a millennial generation. We're millennials. You can't say that crap.
Yeah, but Sean, it was before me, so you know.
Oh God. Rem, is everything before your year of birth just ancient history to you?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I didn't realize you were that basic, but that's fine. Yeah, no, and it is, I would say it's got a good amount of plot, but not so much that, let me put it this way, Rem. I haven't heard anybody complain about the plot of this movie.
Oh, you haven't heard me talk about it, boyo.
That's why I'm scared to do this one, Rem.
Here we go.
Oh, no, I don't want... Rem, please.
Hey,
please.
Who knows? Maybe it will be the first good big jib plot. I'm skeptical, but it's possible.
But Rem, I just want to re-emphasize. If you insult this movie, and more specifically, if you take issues with Howl himself, we're gonna have angry people on our doorstep. Like, people that we actually know physically in real life. Like our friends and family that... Well, maybe not our family. I don't think our family
Let me
listens
ask
to our
about
podcast.
Howl. Let me ask about Howl.
Yeah.
Is he closer? Because I imagine, cute and charming and stuff.
Yeah.
But there's a couple different ways that could look. Is it, closer to a Ponyo or closer to a Kiki?
Neither?
Okay.
Primarily because he's a 27-year-old wizard.
Oh, okay. That's not what I was anticipating at all.
No.
I was expecting an 8-year-old kid.
Yeah, no. Believe it or not, main character...
Wait, he's allowed to write adults as main characters?
Yes. Yes. Believe it or not, there are Ghibli films...
What the fuck?
...where the main characters are, in fact, not children.
Genuinely, this is the first one we've covered that does that.
Oh, yeah, you know what? It might be.
Every other one... the other ones have had, important adults.
Yeah, and the other main character, Sophie, is 18.
All right.
For a bit.
For a bit.
It's complicated.
What the fuck does that mean?
It's part of the plot, Rem. It's part of the plot.
Until she turns into a 3-year-old. And then it is Howl's... His magic turns her into a 3-year-old, and then it's up to him to take care of this whiny little toddler.
That would be a very different show, but weirdly, I don't think it would ruin Howl for people, because it'd be a different reason, a different side of Howl for me to love and simp over. Sorry, I didn't say simp. I meant enjoy, to look at and think about in a nice, wholesome way. and definitely not in a
Oh,
biased, horny way.
I get it.
Do you?
Howl is the Onceler.
Oh no!
And
Oh,
so
no!
he's a Tumblr boy.
Oh,
Wait, let's see if he fits the criteria. First of all, is he well dressed?
yeah.
All right, cool. Maybe like well dressed, but like slightly disheveled.
I mean, yeah, a little bit. He's got like a wizard aesthetic.
Okay, perfect. So that already checks the nerd box as well.
Oh no.
He has a sensitive side.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. One that I would be surprised though. I mean, who knows? Does he have any asshole-ish tendencies? Like not as the main bit of him, just like a little bit.
I mean, he's a little self-serving from time to time.
Perfect. There we go. He's a Tumblr boy.
Oh no. Oh, see, look, now that's already gonna have angry people at us.
I mean, but I'm right. He's in the same category as the goddamn Onceler.
Oh God.
And now the only question left is how bad can he be?
I hate with all of my soul and being that not only did you pull out a very niche reference from like the mid 2010s, not only did you pull a niche reference from an awful movie.
Can I just say there was the first time I saw Lorax, it instantly became the worst movie I had ever seen. That's a true fact.
The thing that like drives me up a fucking wall, Remington, is that of all of the classic films you have not seen, all of the films you could have spent that hour and a half watching, you instead opted to watch Dr. Seuss's The Lorax.
All I'm saying is, who needs to watch Howl's Moving Castle when Lorax is basically the same thing?
You know what? I've changed my mind. We're gonna cover this movie, and if we die, it'll be justified. I welcome death. Fear may be the mind killer, but damn it, this podcast is gonna be the Rem killer.
Oh,
I'm prepared to die.
hell
And
yeah.
I salute you. I would jump into the episode right then, but you should at least know a little bit about the plot before we start.
What's there? All right, we got Howl. Oh man, his castle is moving now. And Sophie, then a spell will probably go wrong, and then all the soot sprites come out and party.
Weirdly, you were really close until you mentioned the fucking soot sprites. No, it's. I mean, fuck, maybe we do just start the episode and go from there. I mean, I don't think I need to convince other people to watch it, because if you haven't seen Howl's Moving Castle by now, what the fuck are you doing, Remington? But with, literally, it's just the story about a young girl by the name of Sophie Hatter, and her interactions with Howl in his moving castle, and the results of a curse. That's just kind of the broad strokes of it. It's very pretty. It's very, lovely to watch, and hopefully we come out of this alive. So I guess without further ado, Rem, let's go watch some Howl's Moving Castle. If your opinion of this movie is a bad one, Rem,
That's statistically likely.
we're gonna be in a lot of trouble. I can't guarantee your safety.
Good news.
Okay.
I have found a way to stop us getting death threats. Nom, 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 nom. Ah shit, my parents are pigs, fuck them.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back after watching the entirety of the hit 2004 Ghibli film Howl's Moving Castle. And Remington, I have in fact written a small will and testament just in case, on the off chance that you say something that gets us both killed by fangirls.
Well, I would actually like to start this part of the podcast not talking about Howl's Moving Castle.
I'm sorry? Oh, hey, Rem.
I would like
Rem, do me a
to temporarily deviate from it for a moment.
Hey, Rem, I don't know if you know this, but usually this podcast has structure and formatting, and we usually pick, like, one show or movie, and we talk about that movie, and we make goofs along the way. And usually that's how the show goes. What's this deviating by not talking about the movie we just watched bullshit?
Like theater shows have intermissions, and
Yeah, and our intermission is literally, hey, this is the show we're gonna watch. Cut, hey, we just watched the show.
so
With a nice little tasteful cut for the occasional ad if we decide to ever get ads.
Sure.
Like, we were very specific about the format of the show. We've been doing it for 4 years nearly.
So,
Over 4 years. Yeah,
well,
over 4 years. Wait.
so Sean, I wanted to talk about emails.
Man, what a related topic to this high fantasy movie about a wizard in a moving castle and a young cursed lady. Such an appropriate topic. I don't even think computers fucking exist in this universe, but you want to bring up emails.
So we get a lot of emails about Attack on Titan.
Oh, no, Ram. You can't.
But John, no. All right, so into the interlude. We'll get to Howl's Moving Castle in a moment, but I just want to address this. We've mentioned before we get a lot of hate mail for Attack on Titan, right?
Specifically, yes.
Yes. Like, there's a lot of hate mail generally, but, like, unironically, most of the vitriolic death threats come about Attack on Titan.
Yeah.
Well, I have good news and bad news. Good news.
Okay.
I have found a way to stop us getting death threats. Bad news, it's through this episode. So, Howl's Moving Castle is kind of trash.
Oh, no! Ram, no! Ram, you can't do this to me, Ram!
It's a little bit that doesn't mean that it's all bad. It's got some amazing shit, alright? Obviously, of course. But, on balance, taken holistically, sort of trash. Now...
Oh, God. Oh, God, Ram, no.
No, here's the thing, Sean. So, I watched the movie, right? And I'm like, I don't think that was a good movie. But everybody loves this movie. Even those who like don't have it as their top, it's still beloved. And so I was like, okay, there's got to be something I'm missing, because I think I would not be the first one to say this. Howl's Moving Castle is a little bit all over the place, right? To put it very nicely, it's easy to lose track or to miss some details, right? I think that's fair. And I think most people who even enjoy it could agree. And I know that's true because during my research, I found a bunch of like Howl's Moving Castle fans being like, "Oh yeah, really appreciated it on my like third or fourth watch." But I thought, okay, maybe I'm missing something. Maybe there's something I'm missing. So I did homework, Sean. I decided, okay, hey, I could be wrong. Let's see some different views, different perspectives, which usually I don't do. All right, usually you just get my unadulterated opinion, as you can tell with how uninformed it usually is. But this time, I've watched multiple videos. I read a blog. There was one whole video that was like, Howl's Moving Castle, an underrated masterpiece. Which, like, I can understand if some people think it's a masterpiece. Saying it's underrated,
that's a lie. That's that. I
by
can
like
that's
literally no metric can you make that claim.
No. It's our most requested Ghibli aside from the other big one that we haven't talked about.
Yeah. So, but nonetheless, and that was like a 45-minute video. Like, I watched some other videos, read an entire blog post all about it, learned all about the metaphors and symbolism in it, etc., right? And no, it's still just trash. It is like none of my primary critiques were addressed, or if they were addressed, here's how they were addressed. Let me just preempt these criticisms. All right, Sean? Because I found exactly like one 10-minute video that actually talked about some of the problems of it. And I was like, oh, okay. And all the comments were roasting it. And I was like, but I think it was some pretty good takes. That's largely how I thought. But here's some arguments that I just want to get out of the way. Number one, I saw multiple times that oh yeah, these things make sense on either a further rewatch or if you Google some of these details, or most egregiously, if you read the book. Now, we've said before, manga doesn't matter. Same applies for books. I think that on this podcast, we are reviewing the show we are reviewing, all right? We are reviewing it in its natural state.
Yes.
Not, oh yeah, if you watch the movie, spend an hour Googling and rewatch the movie a few more times, read the book, rewatch a fourth time. Like, that's not how we're reviewing this. So I just want to push all those criticisms to the side. We are talking about the movie here. We're not talking about the book or anything else. All right?
Uh-huh.
Number two, something I really enjoyed seeing was there'd be so many people in this one, and I'm not going to talk about the video that specifically criticized Ghibli, because I know that there might be some haters out there, and I don't want to send them over that way. But in the creator said something along the lines of, this doesn't make sense, right? X doesn't make sense. And the comments were like, no, it does. Obviously, it means Y. Here's the thing. The comments fucking disagreed. There were a lot of people being like, oh, no, you don't understand. Clearly, what it was talking about is this. You can't miss it. And then other people were saying the exact same thing, but clearly you can't miss it for something else entirely. A completely different answer. So here's the thing, y'all. I know there's going to be a lot of righteous indignation in this episode. I'm preempting this with a nice little, 5-minute interlude just to address it. If you're not ready to hear some critiques about Howl's Moving Castle, just don't. Just walk away. Now is a great time. All right? Perfect. Now we can get started in earnest.
Rem, I just have one question for you.
Yeah, go for it.
How the fuck do you think that's gonna make people stop sending us hate mail about Attack on Titan?
Well, it's because it'll enrage them to such a degree that now all of the hate mail is going to be Howl's Moving Castle related.
Hey, I hate to break it to you, bud, but when you add one controversy to another controversy, that's 2 flavors of controversies, bud. You just doubled the hate mail we're gonna get.
No, because, people have a limited time in the day, so the time they would dedicate doing Attack on Titan hate mail, they're going to change it up into Howl's Moving Castle hate mail. At least some of them. So, at very least, we'll have some variety. It won't...
Get this! They'll combine the 2 into one mega email!
Possibly.
I'm gonna have to read!
Possibly. So, we open with a lovely shot of this great moving castle, moving through, some fog. It's a lovely establishing shot. As always, Ghibli, great at setting the scene. And, obviously, the castle, amazing design. Visual masterpiece, the castle. I'm not so cynical as to deny that, right? It's a beautiful movie, and especially the castle. Then we see our main protagonist, Sophie. She's making a hat, and some other people in the hat shop, just some middle-aged women, basically. They're gossiping about Howl and whatnot. Sophie decides that she wants to go out. She goes out and there's a parade or festival going on. It's a military festival, right? And I was like, oh, okay, this is going to be interesting. I wonder if they'll explore these themes of military and warfare. And the monkey's paw curls is all I'm going to say for now.
Oh, God.
She runs into some rapey soldiers who are like, hello there, teenager. How are you? Hey! And they're nice and creepy, but she gets saved by Howl. And 10 seconds in, I wasn't sold on Howl. He seemed like a pseudo-chivalrous fuckboy, which which even the show would sort of acknowledge at this stage. Yeah, not a terrible description of the man. Not terribly inaccurate. I should also notice that I was watching the dub, and it took a moment. It was like possibly the first time that it really took me a minute to get going with the dub. Initially, I was not vibing with it. It just seemed a little bit off. So I'd probably recommend people do subs on this one. Apparently, from what I've seen, most people seem to think that they're comparable for Howl's Moving Castle. They think subs or dubs, both good. I think dub, not tremendous. but that just I haven't seen subs, so who knows. Anyway, so Hal takes her away, saves her from the guards, controls the guards away, and then a bunch of black ooze monsters show up and they start attacking. And they run away, and then they walk through the sky, and he drops her off to talk to her sister. And she chats with her sister, and she briefly talks about how she has lower self-esteem, right? Which is the only prominent mention before the transformation that occurs, which would be fine if it weren't such a major theme. We'll talk about that more. She talks to her sister, blah, 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 a little bit low self-esteem. She goes back, gets to the hat shop, and then someone else arrives, and it's someone we've vaguely heard of from now. It's the Witch of the Waste. And she's this large woman in total, like, villain gear, right? Ursula vibes going on. And she shows up, and she curses Sophie, essentially because the Witch of the Waste is sort of like a jealous ex. And how dare Sophie be anywhere near Howl. It's a little bit convoluted, but not the worst thing. But anyway, Sophie's curse is that she turns into a grandma. She's old as hell. But as she mentions, she's like aghast by it. We have some cute, funny moments with her being a grandma and just trying to figure out what to do, right? But there's some significant problems here. This is where the problems really start emerging, Sean.
Okay.
Because when she turns into a grandma, she becomes a new character. It is not the case where it's like, oh, a character is aged up. Let's see how that's going to go. Before turning into a grandma, Sophie had hardly any character, which is really weird from a Ghibli movie, which usually establishes such strong characterization so quickly and so well. It has not done that with Sophie yet. But now that she's a grandma, all we know about Sophie is that she has low self-esteem, doesn't talk much, seems pretty introverted. As a grandma, suddenly she's narrating absolutely everything she's doing, super talkative, super spry and spunky, right? But why? That's a weird change that doesn't feel like it was a deliberate one. But all of a sudden, when she transforms into a grandma, she is full on a different character. Like 100. It's not the case where it's like a different form of the same character. Grandma Sophie just isn't the same as young Sophie at all. Am I crazy? Do you understand what I mean, Sean?
I mean, I'm hearing the words you're saying, and I'm listening to them, and I'm processing them. I'm just worried that if I say something else, I'm gonna get in trouble.
Oh, Sean, you're already on this singing ship with me. There's no hope. So
I didn't ask to hit the iceberg. I just wanted to go on a nice cruise.
So, in what I think is the first time out of 2 times that Sophie's mom shows up, Sophie's mom is like, oh, Sophie's not at the hat shop. That's weird. And so she goes to check on Sophie's room, knocks on it. Sophie just dismisses her. Sophie can't explain her curse, though a little weird that she doesn't let her mom see her in any way, and instead decides the only solution is to run away. And I don't know exactly what her plan is here, because it ends up where she ends up at Howl's castle, but it is very clear that that isn't what she wanted. So she just thought, I'm old, time to run away from everything and everybody? Fuck my family, I guess? I don't know. Did I miss something? Because I don't think it was established well. It just sort of like, oh no, I'm old. I can't let anybody see that I'm old, so time to abandon my whole life.
I mean, I wouldn't simplify it to that extreme, Rem, but
then I would love to hear a more complicated explanation. Because I don't understand it past that.
I'll let you know when I have one.
So she goes off, and it's fun to see her just like as an old lady. Like, sure, she's like a different character, as I've already mentioned. She's super talkative now, whereas before we had her like going through the town just being completely silent. Now she's narrating the whole journey, talking the whole way through, and it's charming. It's nice. I don't know Why she wasn't doing this earlier feels weird, but that's fine. I'm enjoying it. She finds a turnip scarecrow dude, which is fun and enjoyable, and Scarecrow gives her a cane and then helps her find a place to stay when a storm hits, and that place to stay is, of course, Howl's castle. So she gets into the castle, right? And that's when we meet the fire, Calcifer, who's, I'll be honest, fucked me up a little bit when we first got introduced to him. Because Calcifer isn't what is in my mind as like a standard Gibbles character. It felt very much like sort of especially with the voice acting, it felt like a quasi Robin Williams genie. But I saw a better description of it, which was Mike Wazowski, and yes, 100%, this fire is Mike Wazowski.
I mean, you do know that the voice actor in the English dub for Calcifer is Billy Crystal, right?
Those words mean nothing, but if there's if it is actually Mike Wazowski, he plays the same character. It's the same. But it was very disorienting, but Calcifer also one of the only good characters in the entire movie. Calcifer, he's over the top, he's silly, his whole thing is he's abrasive, but actually he'll like accept some attention after a while, but he's overall very abrasive and very fun.
May all your bacon burn.
We get some more interludes of seeing the hyper military state, and so it's like, oh, okay, so it seems like they are going in that direction. Cool. I'm very interested to see how they balance these themes, whether it will be like subtle in the background, whether it'll become more important. Let's see how it goes. And yeah. Anyway, so she falls asleep to the fire. She wakes up to some knocking, and a young boy comes and answers the door of the castle, and he magics himself to look like an old man wizard. And it's an invitation from the king inviting Howl to meet up with them. Essentially, from what I gathered, it's sort of half council and chat, but it's also there's like a draft going on. So like bit of column A, bit of column B on that one. Mm-hmm. A young girl comes to buy a spell, another invitation, and all of these are happening at different locations, but the same door, because it's a magic door that can open up to 4 different locations. They start cooking food, Sophie and the little boy, and eventually Howl returns, and he's tired, he's pretty exhausted, but he makes breakfast. There's a really weird moment at this stage, and it's not like a terrible moment, but it's real fucking weird, where for genuinely 15 seconds, they just have Calcifer, the fire, making loud eating sounds, and they just hold the shot for 15 seconds. And like, also you get a look at the really beautiful food, but it's like, wow, that's beautiful food. Hey, Calcifer, can you shut your fucking mouth? Because it's total nom, 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 for 15 seconds, which is too long for that. I don't know why they did it. Once again, that's not terrible, but it is just weird.
I mean, to be fair, one of the most iconic things in a Ghibli movie is the food scene.
Sure,
I mean,
but why do we need a single shot of Calcifer open mouth chewing for 15 seconds?
Well,
there's other shots of the food. That's not the only one. Also, they didn't need to have him chewing through the whole shot.
Well, I mean, because it's like fire. Like, how would a sentient fire burn like food scraps?
Fire always chews with its mouth open. That's just a quality of fire. Have you not read the ancient Hellenistic philosophies where they describe the first principle as fire, and it always eats with its mouth open? These are just the facts.
It's characterization for the anthropomorphized fire. You know,
seconds worth. I'm so tempted, and I'm not going to do this because I care about our listeners, but Sean, to get you to understand, what if I told Dylan to add 15 seconds of just chewing sound effects right now? Don't do it, Dylan, but Sean, you would be alarmed.
I mean, yeah, I would likely drive over to your apartment and punch you in the face.
Yeah. So it's just one of those
and then
things.
stare at Dylan while he edits to make sure he doesn't fucking do it.
It's not a major critique. It's just a weird decision. But nonetheless, we actually get to what I think is I started coming around. I thought, frankly, up till now, it's a sort of terrible start. You had some decent stuff with the grandma, but the rest, terrible start of the movie. I don't know or care about any of the characters. It seems like there's a lot going on. Pacing is really weird. Motivations are borderline non-existent or nonsensical. But now they're in the castle, and we get what I maintain is what good old Gibbles does best at, and that is slice of life human bullshit. And it's that Sophie decides to clean around, right? And she's hanging out with Marco and talking with Calcifer, and they're just having a pretty good time. And it's quite enjoyable. I mean, there's one bit where she straight up almost kills the fire. Like she physically and psychologically tortures the fire, and that's just not really discussed. It's like hardly even played for laughs. It's just sort of a thing that happens, and that's weird. Especially because I mentioned this earlier. I do want to remind everyone, this movie is a metaphor about the Iraq War. So, and that's not me being like, oh, just choose war. No, like Miyazaki has openly stated this. So, just a little weird. But I really enjoy these little slice of life moments. The little boy is borderline meaningless, but he has some fun, cute moments with Grandma Sophie. It's enjoyable to see them mess around, as well as the charming Scarecrow. It's going great. But then Howl comes back. Howl is a bad character.
Oh, yep, nope. All right, I'm going to finalize that will right now.
And now here's the reason Sean is finalizing that will, because I think, unironically, one of the top 3 reasons that people like Howl's Moving Castle is that they're simping over Howl. That is
I wouldn't
one of the
I would
largest,
not say those words
yeah.
out loud.
Yeah, it's one of the largest contributing factors. I won't go so far as to say it's like the only reason, but top 3, unironically, just people simping for Howl. Now, here's the problem. Howl doesn't have consistent or good characterization. What they try to do with Howl is they like, oh, he starts out selfish and vain and only caring about beauty, right? But then he starts to care about others and realizes the value in them. But that's not the journey he goes on. Like, first of all, he doesn't change that much. And then the change that does happen, it's not like there's a transition. It's just, oh, okay, suddenly he's this way now, I guess. Cool. What little characterization he does have, it's just not handled well. It's inconsistent. I think the journey they try to make with him, they strongly fail with it. And we'll address more of those details later. But Howl, he left and he had to, how to describe this? Places are getting bombed, and Howl becomes a Birdman to go and sabotage the bombing and fights off demonic representations of soldiers and bombs. Did I get that right?
I mean, yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Just wanted, because once again, there's a lot in this movie. Which I will say, it's in its favor. As with all good old Gibbles, they are thoughtful productions. All right, they are very deliberately handled, very mindfully done, and it's lovely to see such innovation, creativity, thought, and effort placed into it. That does not mean that it's going to be great. It's very unique, which I appreciate, but I don't think it's good. Continuing on, Howl, when he returns, he's exhausted, he's fucked up, he does a bath, but due to all of the cleaning, there's a mishap where the worst thing in the world happens to him, and he turns into a ginger.
Hey, hold on.
And then we have this really weird tonal whiplash, right? Because he talks about how repulsive he is because he's a ginger now. And he's like, I see no point in living if I can't be beautiful. And he gets real mopey and sad, and like dark shadows start encroaching in, and everyone's at risk of getting destroyed within this castle. And they played off like, initially it was like, oh, how silly, his hair got screwed up and he's overreacting. But now they play it off, they just switch it 180. It's super serious. I think there's a part right here where Sophie goes and cries. She starts crying. She's so overwhelmed by what's going on. And then I don't think there's a change between it being like super overdramatic and crazy and intense to then Grandma Sophie just decides, he's overreacting. Come on, let's get you to the bath. It's all gonna be fine. It quickly goes from, there's a chance we may all die, and this is really intense and sad, to, actually, it's not a big deal. It's just overreacting. Haha, silly. And it really feels like there was like a cut scene or something there. The pacing is really off in that moment.
I don't know. I haven't read the book, so I couldn't say.
But once again, we shouldn't have to read the book.
No.
So they get him all fixed up. He switches from being a ginger to having black hair. Not really for any reason other than I think they want a black and white motif. But if they just switched him from having blonde hair to black hair, then he couldn't overreact as much, I guess. But he switches to having black hair, and I guess it's when he gets black hair that he makes like 50% of the change into being less selfish, I think. Because now he's more like honest about stuff. He talks about what's going on. He talks about how he just wanted to be beautiful, but like now apparently with his black hair, he can't be. Although once again, it's not like suddenly he stops trying with his appearance or anything. He still tries very hard. Like, it's not a casual thing. It doesn't seem like that really ever leaves, even though they present it as a character flaw that he overcomes. It's real weird. Continuing on, after they handle that, and get Howl all fixed up, Howl gives a little exposition about with the Witch of the Waste. Apparently, they used to have a thing going on, right? And he broke her heart, and she really wants his heart. And then she's also been invited to meet with the king and all that fun stuff. And Howl's like, I can't visit the king, too spooked, but also apparently at some point, I promised I would, but I'll just send you, and you be like, tell them you're my mom, and that I didn't arrive, and that I'm too useless for them anyway. Cool. All right. So she goes, and he's like, oh, and don't worry, I'll be right behind you, but disguised. So she goes, she gets there, and a weird dog, like possibly the weirdest, ugliest anime dog I've ever seen in my life, shows up. I don't understand the design of this dog, it's like old and scruffy, but also has like red chicken legs, I swear to God.
No, that's accurate.
It's which I saw the dog and I was like, real weird design. But I mean, it is a dog, which like for me, that's a bonus. The dog is sort of shit. They try to make the dog important, and like the dog becomes one of the main crew. But I don't know, Ghibli, what happened? Like normally you're like animal or weird creature. Let's add a ton of personality into it. The motherfucking scarecrow has infinitely more character than the dog. The dog just doesn't have much personality at all. Which, it doesn't sound like a major point, but the dog is, like, he's part of the main crew from this point forward. So it sort of is important. It takes a lot for me to be disappointed in a dog in anime, but I was.
I don't know, you usually seem pretty disappointed about me.
Hey, finally accepting that you're dog at heart.
It's for a goof. It was for a goof, Brad.
So, the Witch of the Waste also arrives, and then we have an uncomfortable and awkward scene that I think is supposed to be humorous. And that's
Is it the stair scene?
Yeah, it's the stair scene.
Yeah.
So, I think what they want you to have, the witch is a large lady, right? And I think they want you to feel that schadenfreude, right? And also, like, straight up just, haha, she's fat. Like, the predominant joke here is that she's fat. Not anything about it, just that she is. And so she has to climb upstairs, right? And they sort of bicker on the stairs, but they do that like borderline body horror thing that Ghibli sometimes does. We saw it in like Spirited Away, for example, as the witch is struggling to get up the stairs. I think what they want you to do is like, hey, the witch has been such a bad person that you feel a little bit of schadenfreude. You feel a little bit of joy about this bad person suffering, right? I think that's what they want you to feel.
I believe that's the intent, yes.
Well, and more specifically, I think they want you to be like, ha ha ha, yeah, fuck you, fatty. I think that, unironically, is the distillation of how they want you to react in this scene. And I can't really interpret the stair scene in a different way. Two problems with that. One, not a great response to go for generally. Like, haha, fuck you, fatty. Like, and don't get me wrong, it's an older production, almost 20 years at this point. But nonetheless, but then two, also I don't think they even accomplish it that well, because it's not that funny. And also the schadenfreude isn't really there, because we haven't, like, I'm not convinced to dislike the witch at this point. We've seen her like 2 times up till now, and both times she's just been pretty lackluster. Like, it's not a case where you're like, oh man, I hate her. You're just like, yeah, I guess she's the baddie. She's villainous, I suppose, which isn't going to elicit schadenfreude. So yeah, just a wildly uncomfortable and weird scene. But they get there, and the witch takes a seat where then a ritual happens where all the magic is removed from her and she ages up to her proper age. And so she's old and weak and feeble. Meanwhile, Sophie meets with the king's sorceress, and the king's sorceress, Madame Solomon, I think.
Yeah.
Madame.
Yeah, Suleiman.
Suleiman, yeah, good old Suleiman. And Suleiman lays it out pretty clearly, a little bit of backstory about the witch and also Howl, and talks about how she took away the witch's powers and magic, and she could do the same for Howl, which I understand. Like, Sophie's like, oh, that would mean that Howl can't live his free life and may have to get involved with like the war stuff, right? Which is bad. But also, for Howl's character growth, it really feels like he should lose his magic, because his magic has been almost exclusively used at this point to feed into his vanity, his general selfishness, his just all of these character problems with him, according to the show. His cowardice, him running away and avoiding all of his problems, right? His magic has done all of that for him. And once again, this isn't like me critiquing, this is me saying, like, in the world of the show, that's how it goes. And so if your character arc is like, okay, going from all of that to not doing that, it feels like actually the move would be for him to like lose his magic so that he doesn't run away. And I'm not saying like, oh, like there are plenty of reasons why that also shouldn't happen, but for the arc they're trying to create, it's just once again an inconsistent presentation. Where sometimes the magic is he's just using it for all of those bad things, but other times it's like, yes, but it's vitally important for his freedom, and also to stop his main involvement with the war, even though he does get very, very involved with war. And I'm gonna say it, Howl is responsible for some deaths out there, but that's fine. Howl arrives as the king, pretending, but then the actual king arrives. Solomon uses some magic to try and remove Howl's powers, but Howl escapes with Sophie, the witch, and also the dog comes along. The dog, who apparently was Solomon's dog, but just decides to tag along.
I mean, you gotta keep your cute mascot characters in frame as much as possible.
Man, but it is not a cute mascot character, nor is it an interesting character, which once again, like, I'm all for. Motherfucker, just bring a fucking Totoro log or a Soot Sprite. Like, you've created such lovely creatures in the past. What's up with this shitty dog that's bland and meaningless? I hate this dog. I hate this dog because I know Ghibli can do so much better and more interesting. It can have either a more interesting personality, or be cuter or more expressive. But no, the dog just never wants to be there. That's its personality. You look on its face and it's just like, I don't know why I'm here either, dude. It's like a good question. So
you're telling me you don't want a Heen plushie?
Is that his name?
His name is Heen, yes. H-E-E-N.
No, fuck that dog. I hate that dog.
I mean, I did find a very interesting plushie that may or may not look like a floor scrubber.
Oh my god. So,
yeah, there you go.
Oh Jesus Christ, I hate it. But it doesn't have the weird ass legs. So they escape, right? And eventually Howl goes off solo to like help distract them and divert them as they're being pursued. Sophie the witch and the dog, they come crashing into the castle, and they get situated all up there. Sophie has a nightmare about a Howl. Before then, Howl actually comes home and she goes to like check on him, right? See what's going on. Also at this stage, like in the dream, she declares, I'm pretty sure it's a dream. It's a little bit, it indicates it's a dream, but also it's one of the weirder Ghibli, so it's like, who knows? But in the dream, Sophie declares her love for Howl, because this is going to be a romance, y'all. Which it is not a good romance. If you thought it was a good romance, you are what you have done, you are simping for Howl, and you are placing yourself into Sophie's bland personality. That is what you are doing. Oh God. That is why you think it is a good romance. Because it's not actually a good romance.
You can't say it out loud.
I am the voice of the people, and the people speak truth only. All right. So, Howl actually comes home. They go. They end up like reshaping and moving the house, and now there's different locations in the door. One of them is a nice little secret garden. But then Howl is like, all right, we gotta like handle this stuff. At one point he has this, I don't know exactly when, but I wrote it down because it was cringy as fuck. He had the line that he's done running away. Now he has something he wants to protect. It's you. And he tells that to Sophie.
Yep.
That's real cliche. Yep. Come on, Ghibli. Why? You can do original, unique shit. So why are you leaning on a bunch of cliche bullshit? Just wait until you see how some curses are fixed. Spoiler alert, it's all fixed in the same way. Just think to yourself right now. All right, make a prediction if you've never seen it. What is the most cliche way to break a curse? All right, hold that thought and we'll get around to it. So Howl sabotages a battleship, is chased by some demons, fights with them. Sophie chats with the witch about love, and they have a little heart-to-heart. Though this heart-to-heart is seemingly meaningless, because it seems like, oh, they're like having a nice connection, and now like the witch sort of understands that Sophie's into him. But the witch ends up imperiling all of their lives later because of her jealousy. So I don't know what this conversation does other than being like, hey audience, romance. Which, no. Then, we get a really weird scene. Which I know there's been a lot of those because there's not a whole lot of like, I think it might have been the South Park guys. I can't exactly remember, but they talked about like in the writing process, right? Ideally, you have a list of events and they're followed by, so, therefore, but, however, right? So everything touches on one another. Everything is important. It drives forward the next action or is complicated by the next action, right? Right. This movie just sort of like things happen. So, Sean, you know Sophie's mother character, very important character, right? She had like 2 lines of dialogue.
Yes.
Well, now Sophie's mother arrives and sees Sophie and recognizes Grandma Sophie and is like, "Oh my God, Sophie, it's so lovely to see you. Here's some gifts." But as we see, one of the gifts was a peeping ooze trying to spy on them, and then there was a poisonous cigar as well. And the mother gets back in her carriage and is like, now just let me see my husband. I'm so sorry, Sophie, that I had to do that. And that's never brought up again. What the fuck? First, where the fuck did that come from? Second, it doesn't go anywhere, so what's the fucking point? It's so weird. It's such... Oh my god.
I'm sure it makes sense in the book.
It was... I saw the mom and I was like, oh, really weird. And like I wrote down, because I thought it was trying to be heartwarming and it was trying to like do a proper bonding moment with them, right? And I was like, this isn't justified because we didn't like see them bonding ever. Their literal only interaction before this moment has been Sophie telling her mom that she's sick because she didn't want to show her old face. That's all. And then we have a bonding moment, but actually it's a betrayal. What? Pardon me? I have no idea. I don't even know really how to talk about this because it's just real weird. But as the witch is popping out fat clouds, you know, as she does, she's gradually killing the fire because the cigar smoke is poisonous, or something to that effect. So the fire is starting to die, but they fix it and they handling it. There's more bombs. Now the bombs are directly overhead, and the hat shop is about to be bombed that they're sort of in. But then Howl, he stops the bomb from hitting there. The rest of the bombs all throughout the town, fuck all those people. And now I think it's appropriate to really start talking about war in Howl's Moving Castle. Because war...
We don't have to. We can just skip past that.
I mean, Sean, it is the major theme. It is the single biggest theme in the entire movie, Sean.
Is it? I thought the biggest theme was, cute slice of life stuff with fires chewing with their mouth open.
Oh God, I truly wish, Sean. But that is not the case. Cause as you guys will recall, this movie is about the Iraq War.
I mean that's.
Now here's the thing. I'm fine with having a movie with a lot of symbolism and to generally protest the Iraq War, right? Real solid. General anti-war message, 100%. Talking about propaganda and the dangers of blind nationalism and how those can be used for atrocities. Hell yeah, I'm on board with this type of content. And with it being the most significant theme of the movie, I would hope that it'd be done well. It is really not at all in any way. Let me explain why. First, sometimes it's presented as like, oh, this war is like super important. Oh man, and it's so unfortunate that it's going on. But unfortunately, we never really feel the consequences until like the hat shop is being bombed. Until then, it's like, oh yes, isn't war bad? Oh shit, I'm being bombed? Oh fuck. But if they want to present war being terrible and bad, it's like you need to show, yeah, no, it's fuck, there are consequences. We see people reacting to consequences, right? And saying it's bad, but never does this movie like be like, oh yeah, let's actually talk about loss and talk about why it's bad. They just sort of, the movie's claim is, hey man, war's pretty shit, ain't it? Sure. Yes, it is. I agree. Is that all you have to say? And for the most part, yeah, it is. There's a little bit more nuance in some moments that I don't think are very developed in any way. But overall, it's just, yeah, this is bad and unnecessary, which I agree with, especially if we're talking about the Iraq War, right? I'm there with you. But I think you should have more to say, or at very least capture more emotionally what you're trying to convey. Because Studio Ghibli, I know that you can do some great emotional stuff. You can capture complex emotions in powerful ways. I've seen you do it before. So when talking about something that seems ripe for this type of complex emotion, right? Why does it never allow us to feel any of that? Why does it just say war is bad and leave it at that telling rather than showing or feeling. And I don't know. It feels like a lost opportunity and just feels like they failed on what they were trying to do in that regard. And I keep saying war is the major theme. There's some other themes, Sean. Like for Sophie, the major theme is self-esteem because she's very self-conscious, but she'll fluctuate. She will become a bit younger when she's feeling better about herself. And she'll feel a little bit older when she's more self-conscious. But even that, first, I don't know why that happens, like, in the lore of the show. I don't know why the aging and de-aging happens. I know why it works for the metaphor, but then also for the metaphor, I think, one, it's inconsistent, but then two, it's just not very interesting, because we didn't see much before the transformation, before the curse, to show that she was super self-conscious. So it's like, it's hard for us to juxtapose anything, when almost all of her personality is just as a grandma. So yeah, it's a little bit of a clusterfuck. Little bit of a clusterfuck in all of those ways. Anyway, you had a lot of drama going on where, at one point, Howl leaves, the castle. They decide to leave the castle. The castle gets destroyed, but then they want to remake the castle, so she feeds the fire her braid, and that provides him enough power to create a smaller iteration of the moving castle. And that sounds like a lot is going on. I don't know. That whole bit, it's a really weird, confusing bit, so I'm just going to leave it at describing the events as they are. Because the motivations and rationale for all of that are very fuzzy. Like, they want to be like, all right, we need to escape from the hat shop, so we need to move / maybe destroy the castle and then rebuild it and then get the fuck out, sort of. Then it's found that Calcifer, the fire, has Howl's heart, his actual heart. Which the witch decides, because she's jealous, she takes Howl's heart. Which is putting Calcifer in danger as well as the rest of them. Everything is fucked, everything is dangerous. So the only way that Sophie can think to fix this is by pouring water on it, possibly killing Calcifer and Howl, but fixing the immediate problems. That causes instability. Sophie and the dog fall down a cliff. They're okay, and actually a door survives that is a door into the past. This door into the past, through a shadowy murkiness, goes to the secret garden where they see young Howl and a bunch of shooting magical stars, and one magical star lands on Howl, and then Howl decides he's going to eat the star, and then the star emerges as a fire. That star is Calcifer, but now it has his heart. Alright. Okay. So, if you've not seen the movie, you're probably a little overwhelmed. Yeah, that's sort of the viewing experience. Because also, it's not really explained why he eats the star or why he gives Calcifer his heart. Now, I've seen responses to this, Sean.
Yeah, yep.
Because there is a canon answer in the book.
Yes.
But we're not talking about the book. We're talking about the movie, which does nothing to explain any of that shit.
I mean, maybe it's up for interpretation, Rem. Ever consider that?
Now, up for interpretation is fine, right? When you're like, there's a little bit of ambiguity here. But having seemingly random actions that make no sense and are completely lack justification within what you've shown us, but are also pivotal to everything, that's less fine. Once again, they could have just not had this. It, I think, makes it more confusing and weird within the realm of the movie. But you know, that's how it goes. Anyway, a hole swallows up Sophie, and she escapes out through the same door that she went in. And now Howl, fully demon bird form, is waiting. They kiss each other and reunite. They reunite with the others. The witch gives back the heart, and Calcifer is also still alive, and everything's Gucci and good on that front. It's not really explained why the witch has decided to give the heart back. She says it's like, Sophie's like, please, can I have the heart? And witch is like, I understand that you really, really care about this, don't you? It's like, yeah, really cared about it when we were all going to die as well. Like, could you not tell by the fact we were going to die? And I was like, oh my god, we're gonna die, give it back? Was it not clear at that stage that I really care about this? So the heart is returned to Howl, and Calcifer is freed as a spark. They fall down, but they're saved by the Scarecrow. The Scarecrow snaps, but is given I think a little kiss from Sophie and transforms back into the Prince of the Kingdom, who, it was like in a genuinely a throwaway line, it was mentioned that the missing prince was the reason for the war. Now, I think it's okay that it was a throwaway line, frankly, because the reason for the war isn't like super important. A bit weird that this is the prince, and now the reason why that he was freed is because all it took was a kiss from your true love, right? Which apparently is Sophie. Why? I don't know. I don't know why the turnip scarecrow fell in love with Grandma Sophie. I don't have the answers for you.
I mean, you could at the very least do him the dignity of calling him by his name.
Turnip Head?
Turnip
Yeah,
Head.
okay, cool. So he's free to be a prince, and they all decide to be a happy family with the prince and Howl and Sophie and the kid and the fire and the witch and the dog. And then the dog contacts Solomon through her crystal ball and shows them all as a happy family. And then Solomon, this is a moment I saw different interpretations of, right? And I saw different interpretations that both said how obvious it was that this was the correct interpretation. So I'm going to say both because I think either one is dumb. So I want to cover my bases. Explanation one.
You want to make sure.
Yeah, I want to make it clear that it doesn't matter, like, oh no, you see, the reason actually was, now, see, it all makes sense. Because my main critique isn't about exactly the nature of this, but it's worth listing. So, due to either seeing that the prince is alive and well and not missing, and that was the reason for the war, or seeing Howl's personal progress and seeing them as a happy family, Madame Suleiman decides to just end the war. And so it ends. Ooh, boy. Okay. Let's address that war theme once again. If you want to talk about how difficult and how much of a struggle war is, then I think you are doing your audience an injustice when then you're like, it was silly anyway. I've seen happiness. We can just end it. That seems like a lazy and weird way of handling that, and it also doesn't feel like you are doing any due diligence or justice to how complicated and harmful these things are, right? Because after this, they just fly away happily. They're a happy family on the castle. So I guess the war can just end. It's just that easy. And I guess ignore all the firebombing that happened. I don't know. I think it's terrible commentary on war. And don't get me wrong, it's not like that's what I'm going for in Ghibli films, right? That's not like what I expect. But when it is the major motif of your film, all right, well, yeah, let's talk about it. And especially when the inspiration and most of the major changes you made from the book are towards this end of making a commentary on the Iraq War, like, yeah, no, I'm gonna hold it to a bit of a higher standard with that theming then. And I think it just fails in a bland and oversimplified way.
So you're saying it would have been better to make a full original story that dealt with the themes of war rather than trying to shoehorn those themes into a book with multiple differing themes?
I think that's one way. I think even with the extent that they did, all they needed to do was change some of the war scenes. Like the early war scenes where like the military parade and everything, solid. Like, okay, yeah, we can see that these people are all in, and that the military, it's like it's some shady shit, right? Cool. Awesome. But from that point forward, it's the literal only point it ever makes is war's pretty bad, ain't it? Yeah, I guess it is. Do you want to add anything? No. Cool. All right. And that's where we're left with. Like, once again, I want to emphasize, I watched like an extra hour's worth of content and read an entire blog post all arguing the merits of this film, right? All because I was like, I have to be missing something. And nowhere did it address anything that I had missed. I think that there's 3 main reasons that people like this show, Sean. There's 3. Number 1, we've already addressed. They simp for Howl. Now, I wish Howl was a better character, but he's really just not, unfortunately. But you can simp over him. Cool. Number two, I think, and I'm being sincere with this one, even though it sounds super patronizing. I think that there's a portion of people who watch this, and because of like the prestige of Ghibli, and because of the unorthodox narrative, they're like, oh, I don't really get it, but that means it's smart. I'm not saying that's everybody, by the way, but I am saying there's a portion in that category. And last but not least, I think there's just some people who can shut their brain off and be like, damn, that's a dope ass castle. And then they just ride on that for nostalgia because the castle is dope as hell. But the movie, I don't think it's that great. Like, here's an interesting note. Howl's Moving Castle is one of my girlfriend's favorite Ghibli films, right?
Yeah.
One of her all-time favorites. First of all, she remembered many of the characters, many of the moments. She did not remember that there was a war going on in the movie. Even though, once again, it is like the thing. Which indicates like that's not the thing people are remembering. They might remember like sort of the vague visuals of this holistic view, right? Which, once again, I get down with some Ghibli visuals. Solid shit. But I just think there needs to be some more. So I know there's gonna be a lot of people. There's gonna be so many people being like, Remington, you just didn't get it. And then a solid 30% of those people are then going to list something I addressed. Because that happens a lot. And yeah, I still feel like I have to be missing something with how beloved this is, with how well acclaimed, because it just sort of seems like an inconsistent clusterfuck that doesn't say a lot, doesn't have great or interesting characters, especially when compared to Ghibli standards. I would need to think about it, but it is a strong contender for my least favorite Ghibli, and that's unfortunate, because there were some moments where I really thought I'd come around.
Now, I know that helping any of your arguments is going to get me in a lot of trouble.
Come on in, the water's fine.
I will say, to your second point, I don't know if this helps or hinders it, but Howl's Moving Castle is the first major movie after Spirited Away released and won its Oscar.
Yeah, like, it makes a ton of sense, where it's like Spirited Away comes out and it's like it's well acclaimed, and then Howl's Moving Castle comes out, and I think there are a lot of people just sort of riding that prestige and being like, no, it has to be good, therefore. And look, if you really enjoy Howl's, which I know is almost all of you, that's fine. Good for you. I wish I could, but there's just far, far too many reasons that make it difficult for me. I think it's a poor war story. I think it's a poor love story. I think it's a poor drama. And I think, astoundingly for Ghibli, the slice of life moments, there's so few, and they aren't as high caliber as we're used to. But it is a dope castle.
Oh God, we're in trouble this time, Rem. I will also cut this off at the head, because I know based on your specific criticisms, we're going to get a lot of recommendations for another Ghibli film that handles similar themes, but in a much better way, according to everybody else. So before they send those emails, yes, we will cover The Grave and The Fireflies. We will cover it eventually. Don't worry, we will. It's on the list, but there's a reason I've been saving it.
I just feel like I feel like there's just some disconnect between me and Ghibli, because I often appreciate the studio's like originality, and they have such a distinct style and voice, right? And I love that. I love seeing that, especially in the wave of cookie cutter copy paste isekai nonsense, right? It's so nice to see something unique and thoughtful. But that isn't all it takes. Like, I might even recommend to a lot of people to watch Howl's Moving Castle. Especially, like, if only for its cultural relevance. But I think while it could be important and while it can have valuable qualities, at the end of the day, I don't think it's a good movie.
Oh, it was nice having a podcast with you, buddy. We did pretty good so far. 4 years ain't nothing to sneeze at, really. Honestly, I think we did solid. And I'm going to keep my thoughts to myself, because if I say anything that agrees with you, I'm in trouble.
They all know, Sean. They all know.
I don't think they do. I think I've kept it on the pretty down low.
Trying to get
All
that plausible deniability.
Yeah, no. Yeah, what I don't say can't be used against me in a court of weebs. So I suppose I'd have to ask Remington, care to take a guess at what the Mal score for Howl's Moving Castle is?
Oh my god, I think it's gonna be like 8.8 to no fuck. I'm gonna say 9. I think it's gonna be a fucking 9.
Wow. With surprisingly only 750,000 ratings, Howl's Moving Castle is actually only sitting at 8.66.
Okay. Higher than I think it deserves, but lower than I anticipated it to be.
So there are some dissenters out there who aren't as big of a fan, but there aren't that many, how should we say, like 1-star reviews or 2-star reviews.
Let me put it this way. Right now, if memory serves correctly, Totoro and Kiki's are my top 2 Ghiblis.
Right.
They're also like the most slice of life casual shit. For the love of God, Ghibli, stay with the human slice of life stuff. Since day one, it has been apparent to me that plot is not the strong point, but really human interactions and just capturing the humanity of a moment. I care about Studio Ghibli films far more when it's just like, oh man, I hope things go well for this character. I want them to be happy. Rather than, oh man, the Iraq war is fucked-ated.
Oh boy. And this is the part where I tell you that there hasn't really been a new Ghibli film in quite some time. But hey, it's fine. It's fine. Because as things stand, Remington, it looks like there is a finite amount of Ghibli movies for us to cover.
Oh shit.
Which is why I've been saving 2 of the most popular requests for near the end. We still have a few more in-betweeners to get to, and some that we're probably never going to cover unless we get a lot of requests.
Yeah, I mean, there's like 20-something.
Yeah, and I will say, like, I said that this is the first major one after Spirited Away. There are, like, 3 others in between, but 2 of them don't matter, and I'm sorry, y'all, but no matter how much you love The Cat Returns, not many people give a fuck about The Cat Returns. I'm sorry.
Oh, man,
they
made a sequel to my favorite musical, and Miyazaki produced.
You can't even finish the joke. You laughed at your own joke way before it even came out of your mouth.
The visual of a Studio Ghibli cat sequel. Oh, y'all just picture whatever you have in your mind right now. Oh my god, this fucking gold, dude.
The point is, Rem, our time reviewing Ghibli films is limited. It's limited. We don't have a whole lot left. I'd say at most we have maybe 6 or 7.
That's still
Considering how many films there are in the world and how many anime there are for us to cover, that's not a whole lot. We usually do a Ghibli once every couple months. So by this time next year, we could be done with Ghibli.
Who knows?
But I suppose the final question I have to ask that I have a sinking suspicion I know the answer to. Is there any chance you'd like to rewatch Howl's Moving Castle with me?
Despite the many people who are like, oh yeah, on the 3rd rewatch, let me tell ya. No, I'm not interested.
So film Stockholm Syndrome is not what you're going for.
No, not at all.
You don't want the suspension bridge effect of the pretty boy Howl. You don't want that?
Oh.
That's not what you're after?
Nah. He's just a fuckboy, y'all.
Well, I suppose with that, thank you all so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed Rem ripping out your burning heart and stamping on it, along with all of your other childhood dreams, then please head on over to wherever you get your podcasts, whether that be Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, Stitcher, and then leave us a review. It means the world to us, and we do read every single one, including all of the bad ones, which as soon as we say a bad opinion on one particular thing, they're like, they hate this, therefore they get 1 star. It's a very petty and interesting way to review a podcast, but hey, I'm not going to hate on it. They make us laugh sometimes. But if you'd like to support us more directly, you can head on over to twitch.tv/animeoutofcontext, where myself, Remington, and Dylan occasionally play video games very badly. But if that's not enough for you, you can head on over to patreon.com/animeoutofcontext, where you can gain access to all kinds of lovely bonus material, including having the opportunity to have your name read aloud live on the podcast. So, Rem, who are we thanking this week, and who are we going to be hiding from specifically?
Well, as always, we would like to send our regards to all of our bland bit protagonists, as well as our magical girls, who we really appreciate. But moving on, we reach our yandere waifu tier, who are just going to straight us yeet us off the moving castle at its peak. And on that list, we have Alex, Zorena, Xanax, Yontosaurus Rex, Yandere Neko, Yahir, Why Sean. Whoever told you that is either a ghost or a bitch. What does a little sister ride? A Nissan. Walk Me Home Gently, Wacky Hypotheticals, Veiny Jordan, Juliana, Tryfinger's Horse But Whole, Trenton Farrell, Totally God, Titan CNH, The Susanator, that film guy. That was the worst throw ever of all time. Sorry it took me so long to fix my name, ADHD and all that jazz. Silent Secondary, Shoujo Addict, Don't Send Help, Send Me More Romance Tropes Because My Husband Isn't a Romantic is the title of my light novel. Sean sure looks sexy in those cat ears, right fellas? Salty Pretzel, Ross Palmer, Rhiannon Williams, Remington Merrill. Remington and Sean, it's up to you to be funny or I'm giving up and dropping out of school. Ready to be isekai'd. Pasta la vista, you have mama'd your last Mia. Welcome back, Sean. I hope it was worth it. Extra funny for reasons not on the podcast. Just personal reasons. That's extra funny. Only God can judge them. It's up to me to send them to him. Irish wristwatch. No waifu, no lifu. Navi. My substitute teacher typed in high school into Google, and the top autofill was Mr. Marshmallow Man. Misaka came from that way, as she points to where. Mike the Mutilator. Matthew Drum says Sean's a bitch. Matt O2 Max. Luke Luke Offenberger. Kazu Morocco. Casey Mosley. Cassidy. Just a Traveler. Julian Garcia. Jax. Jam Hands. I, Remington, redact my statement on Toradora. Also, hey Dylan, wanna fuck? Ooh. I want Remington to ruin DITF for me. I, Remington, enjoy Moe Lolly Girls. I have the power, I could be the hero, I could be the villain, it doesn't really matter, I can make this idiot say anything. I guess you're on Keter duty. I binged anime out of context for a month, now I hear your voices in my dreams. Oh, fuck. Hunter Davies. Hunger Bunger. He's not my boyfriend, the pool and I are just friends with benefits. Hey, you, slap on me knob like corn on the cob, then give me head like a rem in bed, do a moan. Have you received Porous Boris fan art yet? If you have, can I see it? Nova. Not yet, though. Once again, Porous Boris, send fan art. Glenn Michael Dolan, Fuck of Love Foxen Boy. First we had Linus Venus, then Biggest Dickus, now we had Present Deletus Fetus, brought to you by Gugas Gagas. Ferdinand the Bull, Farmer Weeb had a bad pickup line of the week. Hey, are you a beaver? 'Cause damn! Fantide, Extreme Cobra, Epic Amy, English White Swords has a ban list now, gotta adjust your Kaguya and Data Live decks. Wait, what's a Data Live, Sean? Data type, Darkstorm 713.
Clever, but I'm not being tricked into explaining another thing in a Patreon readout.
Dante Soriano, Daddy Dylan's yogurt doesn't taste yummy at all. Creed 13,
Gross.
Coral Empire, Shy 900, Cheese Monkey, Cage in the House, Brockard for Geodudes, Big Blue Bear Boy, Be Like Harry and Don't Fuck Your Sister Unless It's Your Redheaded Best Friend's Sister, Audio Glitch, Ariel Bird, Andrew Rauke, Elise Howard, AJ Honey, Adam McLaughlin, and it's not a VTuber reference, it's a Senzawa reference. Thank you all so much, but we move on to the Boy Wizard tier over at Hogwarts, where everybody is going to be assigned a Ghibli film to watch. And on this list, what is love, a vow, a band of gold, an ephemeral state of mind, or an action, perhaps a gift only truly received when reciprocated? You get, you're going to get Arietti. Warning, we still remember the barrel. And right in that barrel is going to be Tales from Earthsea.
Oh, fuck. Yeah. Don't worry about it. We'll talk about it eventually. I don't want to, but we will.
All right, I imagine there's going to be a lot that I don't know. Probably most. Tony the Great. You get Whisper of the Heart. Line time is not made out of lines. It is made out of circles. That is why clocks are round. Nyan pasu, nyan pasu. You get Panyam. Stick Meat, you are going to get My Neighbors, the Yamadas. Silicon Spectre, you get From Up on Poppy Hill. Rat Visa, that was for Silicon Spectre, right?
Yep.
Cool. Rat Visa, the Finnish, and the one who is slowly teaching the wholesome Moomin family to commit arson, you get My Neighbor Totoro. Pocket Gamer 513, you are going to get Porco Rosso. PL Mare, you get Spirited Away. Odina Fish, you are going to get When Marnie Was There. MT the Poet, you get The Cat Returns, that lovely cat sequel. Momo the Griff, you are going to get Ocean Waves. Mike Wants an Overlord review, you get Howl's Moving Castle. Miguel Dalian, you get The Tale of the Princess Kaguya. It will only be a select number of episodes before the darkest day. I wonder what torture option Rem will decide for Sean. You get Princess Mononoke. Inuyasha's my favorite cryptid says, I feel like Yumiko Jabami because I'd gamble it all for your heart. You get Castle in the Sky. I'm the president of Dracula United, not Remington. You get Grave of the Fireflies. Hold on a second, listeners. I need to log on to my Nitaku clicker game. You get Only Yesterday. Hinata is a ball of sunshine. For you, Pompoko. Hey kids, throws Biscuit into Abyss. Fetch. You will get The Wind Rises. Harrison, you're gonna get Kiki's Delivery Service. Fisherman from Norway, you get to watch Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. Edward, running out.
Yeah, no, I told you there are not that many. There are not that many, simply put.
You are gonna get Totoro 2 Too Much Totoro.
No such thing. No such thing.
Derpy Pangu, you get Kiki's Retail Job. Beethoven 1201, aka Koizumi, you are going to get Ah Shit, My Parents Are Pigs, Fuck 'em. Dismiss them. Neglect them. Don't have sex.
Yeah, no.
Babe, do you work at Build-A-Bear? Because I'd stuff you. You get Howl 2, The Return of Calcifar, which takes place in Agrabah. All Father's Curse Fact of the Week.
It's gonna be very poor. It's gonna be very poorly animated because of a massive, well-justified strike as well. That's the only downside.
Oh fuck. All Father's Curse Fact of the Week in the spirit of Lent. We have an Easter one this week. Jesus, by definition, was a lich. You get Despicable Me 8, the one with the soot sprites. Aaron Hayland. You get the 10-hour cut of just the cat from Kiki's Delivery Service. To Section, I have to show you my Rule 34 of Yui. It's my favorite of my many folders. You are going to get My Neighbor Bill. Just about Bill, the neighbor.
Just good old Bill.
And last but not least,
Bill from Left 4 Dead.
in the Boy Wizard tier, we have dash dot 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 dash dot 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 dash dot dot dash dot dash dot 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 dash 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 dot dash dash dot dot dash dot 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 dash dot 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 dash dot dash dot dash 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 dot dot dash dot dash dot walls from Lord Brock Doof. You get nothing for having to make me read that cursed bullshit once more. No movie
You're
fees.
denying.
I'm depriving Lord Brock Doof.
It could, for all we know, it could be a very nice message in Morse code. We
All
don't
right,
know.
you know what? Here, Dylan, just put something here in Morse code.
dot 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 dash dot dot dash dash dot dot dash dash dot dash dot 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 dash dot dot dash dash dot dash 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 dot 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 dash dot 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 dash dot dash dot dash dash dot dash dot 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 dash dash dot dash dot 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 dash dot dot dash dash dot dash dot dash dash dot.
Cool. That's your movie, Lord Bucktooth. There you go. Moving on. Finally, we reach the inappropriate Joey Wheeler tier, where everybody is gonna get their own pet. And Sean will recreate Joey's reactions to these pets that you are getting. All right. So first, Sean, we should watch Helsing Abridged next week. You are going to get. Oh my God, you're gonna get one of the large ducks, the sauna ducks from Spirited Away.
Is it appropriate to call those a pet? I'm pretty sure they're sentient, my guy.
Well, our lovely patron is getting one as a pet, so How would
Hey,
you?
Yugs, I don't know if this is ethically appropriate, but hey, they're cute and I want to give them a hug.
Perfect. Perfect. Magic. Hey, Magic Ice Ball. You are going to get. You get medium-sized Totoro.
You know, I don't know about this particular Totoro. He's not as cuddly as the big one, but you know what? I can at least wrap my arms around him.
To my dear old mom. Gonna get Soot Sprite.
Yeah, I don't know if this is really a good pet because I don't think I can really handle it and my hands just keep getting dirty and I'm worried I'm going to crush it.
And now last, but certainly not least, going above and beyond, Dylan Hayden is gonna get a twofer. Little game of cat and mouse. Dylan, you're gonna get Nia from Arietti and Baby Bo, who from Spirited Away, but like as the rat.
As the rat?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, Yugs, I know the duck thing was an ethical quandary, but are we really gonna keep this baby rat? And I don't mean like it's a baby rat. I mean it's a baby that got turned into a rat. And I don't know if that's okay.
It's an obscene.
I just don't know if that's okay.
Oh, well, there we go. If you want to reach out, whether it's for a comment, question, feedback, or recommendation, feel free to tweet us at AnimeConPod on Twitter or send an email over onto animeoutofcontext@gmail.com.
Once again, guys, thank you all so much for tuning in. We love you all very much. And as always, don't fuck your sister.
So she just thought, I'm old, time to fuck my family, I guess? This movie is a metaphor about Miyazaki's veiny dick. And that's not me being like, no, like Miyazaki has openly stated this.
I do my best to think about your little penis. You know, I try to do something.
Do you?
Sometimes, yes.
I'm so tempted. And I'm not going to do this because I care about our listeners. But Sean, to get you to understand, what if I told Dylan to add 15 seconds of just chewing sound effects right now? Don't do it, Dylan. Nom 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 nom.